Joe. Hey, what's going on?
Destro's stealing our tank.
They're cool. Guess what? Now there's Wild Times Kooshling.
New baby at our house. Let me see.
Christmas in the 1980s was an experience like no other. You didn't only get a gift, it was fair to say that you lived for it. Every child began to get on their best behavior around November, all in hopes of getting the perfect Christmas gift. Today we'll take a walk down memory lane to look at the 20 most popular Christmas gifts from the 1980s that every kid dreamed of finding under the tree.
Good parents, my Cabbage Patch Kid.
The Cabbage Patch Kids. Each doll is different.
Cabbage Patch Kids. It was the gift that would have you screaming for joy. A Cabbage Patch doll came with a unique face, a soft huggable body, and adoption papers. The genius marketing made you feel as though you weren't only buying a toy. The paper showed that you were welcoming a new family member. The doll was not the kind that you would just walk into the store and find on the shelf. Parents who wanted to give it to their children needed to plan a long time before Christmas to increase their chances of getting their hands on one. Anytime a release date was announced, people would camp outside the store for hours before they opened, and when the doors were opened, it was a time of chaos. You'd see grown adults shoving and shouting while diving for the last box on the shelf, as though it were a life preserver on a sinking ship. Everyone wanted to give their child the Christmas miracle.
System. With more accurate controls, more detailed graphics.
Nintendo Entertainment System. Just by saying the word Nintendo, it would be enough to make the eyes of any child twinkle. The console made all other systems feel outdated and boring. It had a sleek gray box, controllers that felt that they were designed for serious gaming, and a lineup of unforgettable games. Christmas morning with an NES under the tree was the experience of legends. You tear through the wrapping paper and see Mario and Duck Hunt printed on the front, and suddenly the world faded away. You never cared about breakfast, stockings, or even the rest of the presents. All you wanted to do was connect it to the television. And unlike today's plug-and-play style, hooking up a console in the 80s was no joke. It involved dealing with an RF switch, coaxial cable on the back, and praying that Dad wouldn't complain about you taking over the television for the rest of the day.
The world's first animated storytelling bear.
Teddy Ruxpin. Teddy Ruxpin was a friend and a storyteller. Not just any stuffed bear, he could talk. His mouth and eyes moved as he read you stories, and for kids back then, it was like having your own animated character come to life. Pop in the cassette, and Teddy would start spinning tales of adventures from faraway lands. His voice was gentle, warm, and comforting like bedtime, but be honest, parents were equally enchanted and terrified by it. They were enchanted because it kept children quiet for hours, letting them sit in wide-eyed wonder, and terrified because Teddy wasn't cheap, and if the cassette player ever jammed or his mouth stopped moving, getting him fixed was not easy. You'd be the lucky person to unwrap a Teddy Ruxpin, and there would be a sense of elation. As seen in years gone by, he was high-tech for the time without iPads and digital assistants of today, and for a host of children, he became their best friend.
America may never be the same. A medical journal has written about a unique phenomenon.
Rubik's Cube. This was truly the toy that embodied the genius and frustration of the 1980s. Brightly colored 3x3 cube with each face consisting of 9 small squares. The objective was to twist and turn it until all the sides turned back to a solid color again. At first, it seemed like a basic challenge. How tough could it be? You would twist here and there, trying to align the colors, and soon enough the whole thing bore resemblance to a kaleidoscope of madness. Once you started, you couldn't stop, and the more intriguing it became, you would carry it around, turning and twisting in the car, at school, and even in bed. Always trying to convince yourself that the solution was just one turn away. Those who solved it felt like superstars in the eyes of their peers, and they would walk into school triumphantly with their perfectly aligned cube, spinning it in their hands like a trophy. Everyone would crowd around asking how it was done, and you would just smile like you had just unwound the secrets of the universe.
Because a Care Bear's tummy shows just what you're feeling in your heart.
Care Bears. Saying the name Care Bears brings back a flood of warm and fuzzy feelings. They weren't simple plush toys. They were actual embodiments of kindness, love, and as well as all good things, wrapped up in soft, huggable fur. Each bear had its own character portrayed by the colorfully stitched stomach badge on its tummy. And whether it was Cheer Bear with her rainbow, Tender Heart with his red heart, or Grumpy with his rain cloud, most children had a favorite. Back in the 1980s, Care Bears were celebrities, having their television shows, movies, and more. But the magic of those bears wasn't only in their cuteness. They came with a mission to spread positivity and love wherever they went. In a world without social media or smartphones, a Care Bear was like a personal cheerleader always ready to brighten your day. Unwrapping one on Christmas was like opening a box of pure happiness. You'd scoop it into your arms, press it tightly against your chest, and instantly feel comforted. And let's not forget that Care Bear stare. If you were a fan of the show, you knew that those bears would shoot beams of love and positivity from their bellies to defeat the bad vibes.
Prime is back as a Power Master. He only transforms when his Nebulon becomes his engine.
Transformers action figures. Imagine holding what looked like a sleek car, a fighter jet, or a boombox in your hands, and with a few twists and turns, you transformed it into a towering robot that was ready for battle. It was like two toys in one. The brilliance of Transformers was a blend of engineering and imagination, each action figure having its own personality, history, and allegiance, whether it was the good guys of the Autobots or the bad guys of the Decepticons. Christmas morning with Transformers strewn across the floor always holds a special memory. You'd rip open the paper, search the box, and go right to how to transform it. The instructions were there, but half of the fun was just twisting and turning yourself, trying to figure out the secrets of switching it from a vehicle to a robot. Sometimes you'd get stuck, or a piece might pop off, but that was simply part of the adventure.
Är den minsta kassettbandspelaren som någonsin
Walkman cassette player. Before the Walkman, music was something you listened to together with other people so you wouldn't change the song unless everyone else agreed. The radio and records in the living room were there for everyone to hear, but the Walkman made music personal. A freedom wrapped in sleek plastic and metal that allowed you to carry your favorite songs wherever you went. You'd tear the wrapping paper open Christmas morning, and there was the iconic Sony Walkman box, probably in its classic silver and blue design. You'd pop open the case, slip in your favorite cassette, and then put on the foam headphones and hit play. Suddenly the world would melt away and it was you and the music. Walking down the street with a Walkman clipped to your belt made you feel like the main character in your own movie. You could curate your own soundtrack, flip the cassette when a side ended, and record your favorite songs from the radio onto a blank tape. It's not as effortless as today's streaming, but it was all the more magical.
We'll stop He-Man this time.
Skeletor, Panther, Road Ripper, and He-Man each sold.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe figures. For those who were enthralled by the prospect of action, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was the perfect Christmas gift. As children in the 80s, these were action toys that you grew up with. Not only was he a hero, he was the hero. In his power-muscled frame, sword at hand, and trademark cry of valor, "I have the power," He-Man represented the best possible definition of strength mixed with courage. He wasn't alone. Along with him were the Masters of the Universe, exciting characters always much more cool than the last. Skeletor, a blue villain with a skull for a face, Man-at-Arms, Tila, Orko, Beastman, and the ever-memorable Battle Cat, a fearsome green tiger that transformed into He-Man's loyal steed. Each figure had something unique like a weapon, a gimmick, or an ability, built tough and ready for no-holds-barred action in the living room. My Little Pony. If you were a child of the 80s who loved everything magical and cute, then My Little Pony was the dream. Wondrous creatures right out of a storybook, each with their own personality, name, and unique cutie mark. Rainbow Dash with her mane of endless color, Cotton Candy with an adorably pink theme, and every girl had their favorite. Unwrapping a My Little Pony on Christmas Day was like finding a new best friend. You could brush the silky mane, style it with the comb that came with it, and then immediately envision it galloping through the meadows or getting involved in adventures with your other ponies.
Out here we entertain ourselves at home, so we got an Atari video game. There's so many different games.
The Atari 2600. It would be fair to describe Christmas morning playing Atari 2600 as the best way to spend your day. The thrill of unwrapping and looking at that black and orange package and then plugging it into the television was sheer magic. Everybody loved the classics like Space Invaders, Pong, Pac-Man, and Asteroids. It was an unmatchable experience to have on Christmas morning, and if you got an Atari 2600 for Christmas, you became the most popular kid in the neighborhood.
Joe, hey, what's going on? Destro's stealing our tank. We gotta stop!
G.I. Joe action figures. Opening a G.I. Joe on Christmas morning as a child of the 80s was like tearing down a first-row ticket to your very own epic military campaign. Each was different from the other, assigned with a code name and a specialty and a backstory. Snake Eyes was perpetually silent and mysterious ninja. Duke was the archetypal leader, and then there was Cobra Commander, the evil mastermind villain with a silver faceplate. Even from the realistic uniforms down to the tiny weapons and gear, the attention to detail was astounding, and the articulation would be a game changer. You could pose them in the most outrageous dramatic battle stances, and their greatest difference was the imaginary world that they created. Vehicles, bases, and playsets with a narrative unfolding. And if you opened the pack and saw the Cobra HISS tank or the slightly over 7-foot-long USS Flag aircraft carrier, you've got some serious playtime in store. You could build more complicated battle scenarios. The Joes could raid, decimate Cobra's forces, and dodge imaginary bullets while saving the day again and again.
Light-Bright, the toy that lets you create beautiful pictures with light.
Light-Bright. When you found a Light-Bright under the tree, it meant spending hours creating art. A black screen, tiny holes, a backlight, and hundreds of translucent plastic pegs of every color in the rainbow. It was simple but brilliant. You'd slide in a sheet of black paper with an outline like stars, animals, or holiday scenes, and then place the pegs into the corresponding holes. When lit up, it became alive, a magically cool picture right at that point. It wasn't only a simple follow-the-design sort of thing. Freestyling came in after somebody got past that part. You could make your own shapes and designs, and even maybe create a glowing heart for a friend, or a spaceship blasting through the stars, or your name shining in lights. The possibilities were endless.
Nice. One more. Oh yeah.
Slap bracelets. Slap bracelets were the ultimate 80s accessory that was both a fashion statement and playground entertainment. You didn't just put one on, you slapped it against your wrist, and with a satisfying snap, it fit snugly around your arm. Like a little bit of magic that you could carry along with you. Christmas morning with a slap bracelet was pure joy in its simplest form. It came in every color and pattern you could imagine, like neon pink, zebra stripe, sparkly metallic, and even cartoons. They were cheap, cheerful, and endlessly fun, and you didn't only wear them, you collected, traded, and sometimes used them as makeshift toys in the occasional living room duel.
New baby at our house. Let me see. It's Baby Smurf.
Smurf merchandise. If there was one thing the 1980s loved, it was the Smurfs. The tiny blue creatures living in their enchanted mushroom village were everywhere, from Saturday morning cartoons to toys, lunchboxes, bedsheets, and more. Plush Smurfs were especially popular. You could get Papa Smurf with his red hat and wise demeanor, Smurfette with her blonde hair and charm, or the grumpy but lovable grouchy Smurf. Every child had a favorite. They were soft, squishy, and perfect for cuddling and for building a miniature Smurf village on your bed. But the Smurf magic didn't stop at toys. If you had a Smurf lunchbox, you were automatically cooler than your classmates.
Christmas combination.
Like egg and nog.
The finest instant camera and the fastest developing color.
Huh?
Polaroid cameras. If you unwrapped a Polaroid on Christmas, you were holding the future in your hands. Polaroids were the gateway to instant gratification in a world where waiting for film to develop at a lab was the norm. With the Polaroid, you could take a picture and watch the magic unfold quite literally. Kids would shake the photo and crowd around as the colors slowly emerged. You'd see it turn from a blank sheet into a captured moment. Christmas with a Polaroid was unlike anything else. You could instantly document the joy of unwrapping gifts, brand new toys, and even the family posing in front of the tree. Each photo felt like a slice of life frozen in time, and because film was limited, you were careful to capture only the best of moments. Pogo Ball. If you unwrapped a pogo ball on Christmas morning, you were in for endless hours of bouncing and hopping fun. You simply placed your feet on the top disc and gripped the ball between them and then start bouncing. The goal was to stay balanced while jumping as high or far as you could, and if you were really skilled, you could try out fancy tricks like spinning in the air or hopping down the driveway without falling. Kids just loved the challenge. It was one of those toys that looked simple but required just enough coordination to keep it interesting. Pogo balls came in vibrant neon colors that screamed 1980s. Hot pink, electric blue, lime green, you couldn't miss one if you tried. The unmistakable squeak it made with every bounce became a soundtrack of many people's childhoods. And for parents, it was a way to get the kids outside to burn off that holiday sugar rush. For kids, it was a competition of who could do the longest bounce or the coolest trick.
This is the official tabletop version of Midway's Pac-Man.
Pac-Man arcade games. Arcades were the go-to hangout spot back in the day, and bringing a piece of that magic home was every gamer's dream. Pac-Man arcade games for the home came in different forms, some being miniature tabletop versions, complete with authentic sound effects and glowing screens, perfect for sitting on the kitchen counter or on a bedroom desk. Others could be larger, designed to turn basements into makeshift arcades. No matter the size, they brought the thrill of chomping dots and dodging ghosts like Pinky, Blinky, and Inky and Clyde straight into your living room. You'd hear the familiar waka 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 as you guided that yellow pie-shaped hero through maze after maze, all while your family cheered on.
I wanna grow up, fun, Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I...
E.T. Toys. If you were a child of the 80s, chances are you were enchanted by E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Steven Spielberg's 1982 masterpiece didn't only capture hearts, it created a wave of merchandise from stuffed toys to action figures. And if you were lucky enough to unwrap an E.T. toy on Christmas morning, it felt like you had a piece of that magical movie right in your hands. The most popular toys were the plush dolls. These were soft and cuddly versions of the lovable alien, complete with wrinkly brown skin, big expressive eyes, and glowing red fingertip. Children would carry them everywhere, reenacting scenes from the movie or pretending their little buddy was phoning home. Unwrapping one on Christmas morning felt like reconnecting with an old friend, and kids who had fallen in love with the movie's story of friendship and adventure were thrilled to bring E.T. into their own lives.
They're cool. Guess what? Now there's Wild Times Kooshling.
The Koosh Ball. The beauty of the Koosh Ball was how versatile that it was. Throw it, juggle it, bounce it, or sit there squeezing it like the world's best stress ball. Unlike other toys that made parents worry about breaking things, the Koosh was soft and lightweight and perfect for indoor play during that cold holiday season. Children loved the bright neon colors, the hot pink, electric blue, and fluorescent yellow that gave the Koosh Ball its unmistakable 80s vibe. Some of them even glowed in the dark, adding a brand new dimension of fun during sleepovers when the lights went out. For younger kids, the Koosh was an ideal toy for learning how to catch. Its soft and floppy strands made it easy to grab, even for clumsy little hands. Older children would invent their own games like tag and challenge themselves to see how far they could toss it and still make a catch.
And a wide range of Panasonic Platinum Series portables. And for a separate experience,
boom boxes. Unwrapping a shiny new boombox on Christmas morning meant you were about to become the DJ of your own life. They came with cassette players, and you could pop in a tape of your favorite artist or even record your own mix to blast for the world. Some had double cassette decks that made creating mixtapes for friends or that special someone an easy thing to do. They weren't only portable, they were also loud, and you could sling one over your shoulder, crank up the volume, and suddenly you were the DJ for all of your friends. Which of these Christmas gifts from the 1980s do you remember? Let me know all about it in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel for future videos, like the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.